All right, I thought about a lot of ways to do this, but this is the Kanem Music Podcast, and we're just gonna get started. With all things, it's just about the first step and the next step. So, I'm starting this podcast while I put together this portion of my pedal board. I normally have like a head rush unit now with a couple of peripheral pedals. Sorry for the dust and grime. Talking about the start of this new podcast and what might be the same, what might be different about tonal distancing. So let's just get into it. Building this pedal board so I have something more accessible all the time at home. I had something before, but I'm just kind of re-putting it together. I just want to go simple, and this might change here and there over time. But I'm doing delay, chorus, and just a distortion. Really, I like the chorus because I can go stereo. I like the delay because I like some space, and I always need a distortion. So I'm just going very simple with what I want. Gonna split it, kind of do a wet dry thing here. So it can be stereo, it doesn't have to be. And this is what's on my board, and it's really going to the Iridium into my interface. Starting the Kanem Music Podcast, really, it kind of stems from, I want to kind of consolidate more things, now that I'm doing everything in the world, right? But I also feel like I'm not necessarily doing enough under like tonal distancing. I'm not maybe doing enough under my own Kanem Music stuff. In the past, I've thought about starting other bands and stuff, but it's like, as time goes on and like how my priorities kind of go with life, simplicity kind of feels nice. So I'm just trying to consolidate, put everything under one roof. You got my music, you're going to get this podcast, which will mostly be about music, other musicians, kind of some of the stuff I was doing before with tonal distancing, but also kind of, I don't know, I'm kind of keeping it loose. I might explore other things. I might, I love riding motorcycles, so I might talk to someone, do a whole podcast thing riding motorcycles. I really have gotten to like photography and cameras a lot more. I might decide to do something there. If you're a photographer, reach out. I actually would really like to kind of shadow a photographer or videographer while they shoot another band live. So yeah, those are the kind of things I'm kind of looking at. I'm really doing this podcast a lot more on the fly. Building this pedal board, only have one patch cable. Need to go grab some more patch cables, which I'm sure I have lying around somewhere. So let's go get that. So yeah, this podcast is going to be new. Little bit of the same, a little bit different, but I do want to really thank Zach and Prabhu for starting the last podcast with me. I always wanted to do a podcast, and the pandemic kind of hit at a time where, maybe some of us weren't playing music as often. So took the opportunity to create a podcast with Zach and Prabhu, and I really appreciate doing that. It did more than I thought it would. Obviously it started me just talking about guitar, but then it got us into interviews and everything, and that became really fun. It just became fun getting to know other musicians, online in particular, through that sort of process. And then from there, it started becoming in person, which was really fun. But it started switching the whole idea, I think, to a certain extent, in the name for me of tonal distancing, where it stopped being like this podcast that started during a pandemic and a pun on social distancing. So really happy with everything we did there, but also like I said, just want to consolidate, so that's why I'm kind of doing more of a Kanem Music Podcast. Anyways, I was looking for patch cables, so let me find those. What's crazy looking for these patch cables is that I used to have a pedal board with like a bunch of pedals on it, and so I feel like it should be way easier for me to find patch cables than it is right now. So I don't know. They actually were in the big bag. Scattered all over the place. There we go. One patch cable coming up. There we go. All right, paddle boards together. It's stereo, so I need my stereo cable, which stereo cable. I put everything for my pedal board on a power strip so I can just turn everything on all at once. Look at that. Do I have life? I have life. Awesome. So yeah, did build that little mini pedal board. It's something I'm using right now, but I'll do more of the test of the sounds and all that another time, another episode. So anyways, bear with me for the rest of this one. So yes, thank you if you've ever listened to the show, watched a clip, or any of that stuff. Really appreciated it. I do want to take a moment to thank each and every person that was a guest on the show as well. So I'm just going to do a run through of that. Tail of the Cross, thank you for being on the show. Nick Fiorentino, Haley Demos, Nick Ford, Union Fool, you were on twice. Devin was just on, and then him with the whole band. Thomas, Luke, Shu, and Devin again, obviously with the whole band. Thank you, Odysseus, for being on the show. Thank you, Ruben Brothers Circus, Alex Alexion, Slow Finn, Mr. Brendan Jones, thank you for being on. Jester and Sage, really that's Ian, Dan, Colby, Moto, and Colin. Thank you for being on the show. That was fun because we did it right after a performance you guys had. Kai Althouse, thank you for being on the show. I know I've known you since Michigan. It's cool to see you kind of, obviously continue to play with your band Toad, and then you play in Michigan, and then you sometimes come to New York, which is really cool. The Shining Hours, thank you for being on. Nina Grace, it's been great working with you. Thank you for talking about some of your music and your progress through music. The LVP, thank you for being on. You guys are a great bunch of guys. Love sharing the band room with you guys, as well as Union Fool. But it's been cool to see you guys just progress over the last couple of years. Chloe Clemente, I didn't interview you. Bhloom did. It was really cool to see him kind of be in the driver's seat of interviewing. But, from one Guns N' Roses fan to another, just liked hearing your thoughts and ideas on music and what you are doing in Texas. And last but not least, I'd like to thank Fixations. Saw you guys originally, I think, at Pianos, and followed up with you at Berlin, and that was another one of those interviews that was right after the show we talked. But, since then we've, talked. I've shot videos for you guys, and you guys have been a great band, and really, really enjoy your music. And I enjoy everyone's music that has been on the show. So thank you for being on the show. Like I said, tonal distancing, I'm not really doing that so much anymore. Not saying it won't come back. Most of the stuff will be Kanem Music Podcast. I hope you liked this episode. I hope to continue making some episodes. Again, it will probably mostly focus on music, but it might be a little bit looser. But yeah, check it out, and have a good one.